39, 23rd of March. Hope you're well. And this is my third day going live in a row. And I wanted to share with you guys how I generate $732 per lead. So I'm talking about becoming a key person of influence. Ultimately, that's what these lives are about. It's reaching out to other business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, intrapreneurs even, that are inspired about the idea of building the infrastructure so they show up in the world as one of the go-to persons in their industry, because everything we see is that the fastest way to create a breakthrough in your business is to become that key person of influence. You guys hear me talk about it a lot. That's what it's about. But I wanted to go into some more detail, and I wanted to go into some of our stats and some of our data and a little bit of the model behind how we do what we do. I'll share some examples for some of our clients as well that are doing some cool stuff. Maybe go for 10 or 15 minutes. I'll keep it punchy. But essentially, if we go and have a look at, so we've got a little custom build here that just shows our data, and you can see 2,700,000 in sales with the total number of leads there. You can see it kind of scrolls up. So this is just a summary down the bottom. Hey Siri, what's 2,715,957 divided by 3,709?
2,715,957 divided by 3,709 is about 732.2612.
You go, girl. 732, right? And so we track, these are our LAPs. LAPS stands for leads, appointments, presentations, and sales. And that is the architecture behind our entire model. Although I've got to check the numbers because that's a bit low. Oh, can't show you that. Anyway, so let me kind of show you how I do it. In fact, what I should probably do is I should give you just a little bit of the big picture first. So I'll switch to the little overhead here. So the way that I get that transaction value per lead, everything we do is around something that, for want of a better name, maybe I just call influence marketing. Right now, influence marketing is essentially about producing educational content, which I break down into something that you could think of as, because the question is how much educational content, right? So we call it 7, 11, 4. A while back, Google did a whole bunch of research, which essentially you can call ZMOT, Zero Moment of Truth, which essentially boils down to, if you can produce 7 hours, or if you can allow someone to consume 7 hours of content across 11 different touch points across 4 different platforms, 4 hours, 11 touch points across 4 platforms. So for example, let's say you go listen to my podcast, the Dent Podcast. Go check out the Dent Podcast if you haven't, all right? You might listen to me talking to an influencer about how they did it, how they built their business, and that might go for an hour and a half. So that's an hour and a half out of the 7 hours. It's one touch point, it's one platform. Now you are on here, maybe this goes for 10 or 15 minutes. That's a little bit of time, but it's another touch point and it's on another platform. And so that kind of adds up. If you can rack up enough content so people can consume 7 hours of your content across 11 different touch points, across 4 different platforms, that is really, really powerful. I'm just going to look you in the eye as I say this. That is really, really powerful. It doesn't mean everyone's going to consume all that content, but just the fact that it's there and it lets, I call it the rabbit hole, right? It lets people go down the rabbit hole to really understand who you are and what you're about. It's the fastest way to turn people from people you've got to chase to people that are coming to you pre-sold, right? So let me go back to the old, now I've stared you in the eye. Let me go back to this, because the other way that I want you to think about this educational content is you want to break it down into stuff people can watch, read, listen, and do. Right? So this is something people can watch. My podcast is something people can listen to. This could be converted into a blog, a LinkedIn article, and then like a diagnostic quiz or a download or something that people can sort of engage with, right? So that is the top layer of our funnel. And remember the headline here, let's call it influence marketing, right? As opposed to push marketing, influence marketing has people coming to you, right? So then there's another layer. So once there's been that educational content, we now want to create an invitation. And I'll give you some examples, right? So let me share my screen. Da, 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 da. Whoa, that's crazy. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen. Actually, I should be checking my comments. Hey, Carl. Hey, Amy, about us or each product. No. Oh, good question, Amy. Thank you. So let me just actually take a step back. Amy makes a good point. And then I will come back and share my screen in a little bit. So this educational content should be stuff that creates an insight, right? So let me draw a little light bulb. It should be, and maybe I need to do a whole other live just on content, right? But it's insights. So no one cares about your product or service. They care about an insight, a light bulb moment. So for example, Anita Roddick from The Body Shop, she didn't run around selling cosmetics. She ran around selling the idea that animal testing was cruel, right? So her content, her message, her talks, animal testing was cruel. If you believe that idea, you're likely to then go and buy Body Shop. A lot of the stuff that we talk about at Key Person of Influence is we demonstrate the data, we show the entrepreneur journey. We are very, very insightful when it comes to small business, not just because we've worked with like 3,000 of them, but we do a lot of surveys, we crunch a lot of the data, and essentially what we see a lot of is businesses struggling until they become more visible, more valuable, and more connected in their industry. And that's when everything starts to work, because they attract clients easier, they attract team easier and media easier and all this stuff. And everything that normally people are struggling to achieve in business starts to get easier. So we put out a lot of content about influence. So for example, you could go to KPIwebinar.com and I do a whole piece, goes for like an hour and 20 minutes, on the 5 elements of building influence. And these are all the things that are required, by the way, that have allowed us to generate millions of dollars, 3,000 leads, and as per the kind of headline of this, generating an average of $732 per lead. The only reason we can do that is because as an organization, we show up as leaders in our industry. So I do a webinar, and you can go to kpiwebinar.com. And that webinar goes into the details of how to be able to do that. So that's an example of that kind of content, right? So let me just get rid of KPI webinar like that. So then let me go share this screen again. There's the invitation, right? So if I just go back to the top down, we've got this educational content that's delivering light bulb moments for customers. It's not talking about your product or service. It is not trying to educate people. I am in no way talking about the courses and programs that I run in this material. You might know I run programs because I might have to mention or allude to it so you understand where that educational content is coming from, but otherwise it's just informative. Then there's an invitation. So let me just give you an example, right? I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to go to my Facebook page. Now, some of you might not know, but if you go to anybody's page on Facebook, their actual like page, so you can go to Glenn Carlson, you can like me and follow me and do all that stuff, the verified page. If you click on info and ads, you'll be able to see the ads that anybody's running, anybody, which is super cool. So you can see here, I've just got a static ad that's running, me just giving a bit of a high five with some crazy entrepreneurs in the background. And what's cool is that room employs about 120 people in total, which is cool, right? Bunch of employers making it rain. So you can see we're running a couple of different versions of that. This is me running an ad, a straight up invitation ad. See how that's just an invitation, right? This is just a straight up invitation. It's not really learning a lot of content. It's just saying, come join me. But now we're talking about the power of a brand, right? We've got some B-roll of like Gary Vee and Coca-Cola. But if you go through, you can see that there's me talking about brand. There's me talking about, I've got a big belief that we're really lucky to be here in Australia. We've got nothing to complain about, and yet lots of people are bitching and moaning for no damn good reason. So I do a bit of a rant on that. That's popular. Perspective, first 5 people to hire. So these aren't talking about our courses, our programs, our training, our implementation strategies that we work with people on or anything like that, giving people some tips on public speaking, right? So that's all educational content. It's just content. It's good ideas. It's helping crank up 7-Eleven-4. In some of these, I might mention my podcast, or whatever the case may be, right? So people move to those. You can see we've even got a cheeky one, still undecided on joining me, because this is where Facebook ads gets crazy, right? Because if someone clicks on our landing page and we can put a pixel on them, but they don't come along to the event, then I can say, hey, maybe you're undecided, maybe you should come along. We get a really good conversion on that as like a follow-up as well. You know, in old school sales, like the fortunes in the follow-up, we can now do the same thing without having to pick up the phone and talk to people because we can leverage this sort of content, which is awesome. So a good buddy of mine, Harvey, just went for a 5-day walk up in the mountains of New Zealand with this guy. He's a super cool cat with his business partner, Ben. But they're accountants, right? So you can Google these guys or your competition and see what info and ads are they running. But you can see they're doing the same thing, right? They're pushing out some really good content. And then they're giving that call to action. Another one of my clients, Jan, she specializes in helping people get their invoices paid on time. All of these guys and girls are best-selling authors now, but she does something super cool. So check this out. Are you an architect? Here's 5 steps to getting paid on time. Are you in construction? 5 steps to being paid on time. Running an advertising agency? 5 steps to getting paid on time, right? So what's super cool, let me just switch back to this, is the level of focus and specificity we can create with these kind of campaigns. But the big mistake that I find people making is they go out and they run all these ads or they do all this social media stuff and they get Buckleys of a response. And it's because they haven't done the work. They haven't built out the assets of influence first, right? So let's say you get some everyday financial advisor, right? Everyday financial advisor, and he does great work for his clients, but he's pretty unknown in his industry. One-man band, works out of his home office. If he decided that he was going to run Facebook ads, right, what's going to happen? Probably nothing. He's going to get a dismal response. So then he's going to throw marketing money at a marketing expert or something like that, and a Facebook funnel hacker, right? And he's going to do these courses that say, you know, you got to be doing more social, you got to be doing more Facebook Lives, you got to be doing all these things, right? All of a sudden, those things don't work very well for them. They get disheartened. They throw a lot of money at the problem, and it doesn't create the kind of breakthrough they were hoping for. What we suggest is, instead of running around trying to leverage an ineffective message, spend the time going deep in working out how do you need to show up as a key person of influence, as that go-to person in your industry first. And that is what, can I have a drum roll, please, KPI webinar is all about. I go into the assets of influence, right? I talk about how to actually build out your pitch so you have a promise beyond the mundane. I talk about, creating a product ecosystem and publishing content, how to be a thought leader when you're not a thought leader, and is that incongruent? Is it about ego? And like how all this kind of stuff comes together in a powerful way. So when you run ads on Facebook, or when you try and recruit a new team member, we've got a new team member, a new general manager joining us on Monday, Steph, which is kind of cool. We're excited about that. So, hey, Stephen. How you doing, brother? Mate, where are you? Firefighting still? This is cool. 9 a.m. There's 10 people watching me at 8 o'clock Saturday. Yeah, so I'm going to do these. I'm going to do these every day for 30 days and see what happens. So let me just get super quick back. Right? I'm going to wrap this up soon for you guys. Let me change to a top-down view. Right? So bottom line, until you're a key person of influence, none of this stuff works. The moment you start to show up in the world as a key person of influence, influence marketing works. And any of these gurus out there trying to sell you on the idea of marketing funnels and social media strategies and all this stuff, notice what's making it work for them. Behind the scenes, they are the key person of influence. So that is the first step. That's what makes all these tools super effective. So the next step in this funnel is what I call a presentation, which delivers one to many. Right? So instead of the traditional sales approach, the way we structure it is a one-to-many presentation. And we do that as a webinar. In fact, if you go to kprwebinar.com, you'll be able to see an example of the presentation that I give. I also do a live presentation. If we go to share screen again and we go to my ads, right? If you click on that, you'll see this is the actual live event that I do in Sydney. Right? I think I got one coming up next week. We've got about 40 people booked in. It's super cool. And it's me really diving into the 5 Ps of influence. So there's this presentation, and then, and this is kind of important as well, at that point, someone's either going to buy or not buy. And then the game changes from marketing and sales to delivery, right? And this is where you're going to have a variety of products and services. Right? So often, if I'm working with a consulting company, they might have a variety of different things they can offer their customers, right? And it's rarely just one thing, or for a mature business, it's rarely just one thing. Where a lot of business owners I see make a mistake is they've got some content, they've got all these invitations, but they've got all these different ways of kind of presenting their value. There's no consistent kind of a choke point like that brings everyone through to this one core, beautifully designed and engineered presentation that helps people just really get what your business is all about, the problems you can solve, why you're different, unique for your customers. And this is everything that I go through at kind of kpiwebinar.com. So if you want to check out my webinar, it's automated, right? I don't do it live anymore. You can't really tell the difference. It's super cool. I find the recorded webinars that I watch just as engaging. If the information's useful to me, that's good. At least I can pause it. I can take some notes and stuff like that. By the way, I did a lot of them live until I got it to the point where I was really, really happy with it. So I think you will enjoy it, even though it is recorded. But if you want to see me live, you can do that as well. So just go to kpiwebinar.com if you want to do that. But yeah, that idea of having a variety of marketing and almost like all roads lead to Rome, all roads lead to that one presentation that could be showing up in a variety of ways. So it could be live, it could be a webinar, but it's the same presentation, which is kind of cool. So yeah, every day for 30 days, right? It's a 30-day challenge of mine. I'm on day 3 of these webinars, right? And I don't have a strategy. I'm just like half the day I'm tinkering in the back of my mind going, what am I going to say today? And the program I'm using, hey, check it out. So Marcel, check this out, brother. This is going to go Inception, right? But it's called StreamYard, which is really cool. And this is my first YouTube post. So thank you, YouTube poster. So check it out. I can click that little button and it'll actually pop up, I am Mantap. And this dude has said, thanks for the reminder, Glenn, right? So how awesome is that? So through that, I'm now also using Restream.io, which is pushing this out to YouTube and Facebook. This channel is on hold. See, I don't really know. 2 people are watching me on YouTube. 9 are watching me on Facebook. So let's see what those stats are doing in a month. But it's saying my channel is on hold. That's not good. It wasn't on hold yesterday. So StreamYard. And then what I do is I just go to settings and then I go camera and I switch my camera and then it gives me that top-down view, which is kind of wicked. I like it. So that answers Carl's question of what programs are you using to switch between cameras. I like it. I'm happy with it. And I think I've taken up enough of your time. But essentially, that is how, let me get rid of Carl there. That is how I generate, what was the number? $732 per lead. And look, by the way, we don't spend more than 9% of our revenue on marketing. So 9% of our revenue on marketing, every single lead that comes through because of, and this is something I can go into in another live. It's also something I go into in kpiwebinar.com in my webinar presentation. I go into the product ecosystem, right? So of course, it's not necessarily just one product that we're selling that's generating that lead value. It's not like we generate a lead, they can buy one thing. There's a variety of things that they can buy, but on average, for every lead, I make $732, which when you know that number, obviously, it allows you to think a little bit more creatively about how you want to go to market and like, is it a good use of your time to spend 15 minutes doing a Facebook Live like this? Well, if I generate 3 leads, that's, what's that, 7, 2 7s are 14, 3 7s are 21. That's $2,100 in, I don't know how long. Oh, we'll be going 22 minutes now. Yeah, I'll take it. Hey, I just want to say thanks very much for tuning in, right? So I would not normally have done anything at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. Like, fuck that, right? But I hope Facebook doesn't shut me down for profanity. Hope that was useful. I would love your comments in terms of a key insight you might have got out of this. The other thing I'd love this, if you could like it, if you could tag people in the bottom of it, because the more you like it, the more Facebook likes to algorithm it to other people. Thanks very much for tuning in. Every day for 30 days. I got 27 more to go. So appreciate it. That's how I make $732 per lead. I hope you found that useful. It's all about becoming a key person of influence so you can leverage the power of influence marketing, where you get to educate people and make a whole bunch of money doing that. Screw selling, teach people, give them value, help them get where they want to go. That's what I reckon. My name's Glenn Carlson. Be brave. Have fun. Let's go make a dent in the universe.